For more on this and President Biden's 2024 budget proposal, let's bring in our political panel. With us today, Marc Lotter, former special assistant to President Trump and America First Policy Institute's chief communications director, and Kevin Walling, a Democratic strategist and former Biden surrogate. You know, I was just listening to Alex's report, Marc, and Karine Jean-Pierre was calling Ron DeSantis a MAGA Republican. So, but Ron DeSantis, who hasn't declared yet, Make America Great, of course, MAGA was Trump. So is Ron a MAGA Republican?
I think every Republican who runs or is still yet to run is a MAGA Republican. They're going to run on Trump policies because they worked. And it's a great contrast to what we have right now. So they'll emphasize different things, smile different ways, use their own distinct personalities, but they're all running on the Trump policies, regardless of which one eventually wins the nomination.
Is Ron getting in?
All indications seem to be, if you're in Iowa and in Nevada, it looks like you're getting in.
Kevin, let's talk about your man, President Biden. When is he declaring, and who is the biggest threat? Who's the biggest challenger of the field you see developing on the GOP side? Who's the harshest competitor for him?
Well, that's a great question, Griff. I think there's a lot of talent actually on the Republican bench. You've got obviously Ron DeSantis, best-selling author right now, #1 in terms of nonfiction. You've got Nikki Haley, who's barnstorming Iowa, New Hampshire. She had a really compelling announcement in Charleston just a few weeks ago. You've got folks like Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, others that are looking at it. So certainly I think the field on the Republican side will be robust, but we're itching to take them on. We'll take on any of them and beat them come the general election, which is now just 600 days away. Who
will be Biden's running mate?
The vice president.
It will be Harris.
100%. And, you know, this is a team that won 8 million more votes than the incumbent president. They have a plan to win, and they're going to run together.
What do you say, Marc? Is that if you were in, put on your Democrat hat for a second, if you can, would you bring Kamala Harris back?
Be careful putting that hat on. It's a nice hat.
She was not red. Borders are that didn't work out. You can go down the list.
You don't change horses midstream. I could see that from either party. I mean, that's a sign of weakness and desperation to replace a vice presidential candidate when you're in office. So I would not see that as likely. But it just shows you also how thin the bench is on the Democrat side, that's who they're stuck with.
Well, they've got Marianne Williamson, too, who declared, so we'll go to that. But you know, let's talk about the budget for a second, because, Kevin, it felt very much like the president unveiling his budget was the start of a campaign where you're laying these things out. Among them, some suggestions, which is raising a lot of eyebrows, and that is to tax unrealized capital gains. What do you make of this budget, and why are Republicans saying it's dead on arrival?
Well, every budget that we've seen in the last couple of decades is dead on arrival based on the other party in office. But listen, this is an aspirational budget that the president has put forward, right? Laying out, I think, the clearest indication that he is running in 2024 because he wants to campaign on this. He wants to talk about things like expanding the child tax credit, paying down the deficit, expanding military payments as well. This is the largest defense increase we've seen in a long time because of our strategic situations with China, with Russia, other competitive powers around the globe. So this is a budget that the president can run on, and we'll see what the Republican response is. We're still waiting for that response. We haven't seen it.
We got Marc Lotter's response right here. It would raise the debt to $17 trillion.
And trillions of dollars in new taxes when your economy is on the border of a recession. I mean, one of the things that just shows you how non-serious this budget is, it uses the word threat 44 times. Not one of those instances relates to China or Russia. This is a joke.
I want to come back to you said this is aspirational, Kevin, but you're talking about taxing asset appreciation, right? Like, we left England because of levying taxes at will. The Constitution, the 16th Amendment, says you can levy taxes on income. But if you have a painting or a stock or something that grows in value, it's not income. You're not getting money, but yet you're going to tax people. That is a dangerous prospect and an unconstitutional one, the Wall Street Journal points out.
Well, I think it actually plays well to the president's base, right? He wants to make that argument that we're going to tax the most wealthy corporations, a base 25% tax on corporations and the most wealthy, including billionaires. So I think he's itching for that populist message to explain, okay, it's a complicated tax process out there in terms of capital gains and things like that. But at the end of the day, he's paying for all of these increases in spending and focusing on the middle class. And I think he wants that fight with Republicans.
Let's talk about the middle class. Mark, are folks in Oklahoma, in Kansas, out in the heartland that are paying more for eggs, for food, for prices, feeling inflation still? Is this administration, is this White House, this president out of touch with the reality of middle America?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why the polls show that. And the Real Clear Politics average says that 2/3 of our country believe we're on the wrong track. Joe Biden is only getting 38% support in his own hypothetical Democrat primary. That's because people are not seeing any kind of economic benefit of this leadership, whether it's groceries, gasoline, and no matter how hard he tries to convince people that the unemployment rate is low, they're worried about putting food on the table and getting their car filled with gas.
Yes. Marc Lauder, Kevin Walling, great panel as always.
Playing the purple
and
ties
we should point
today.
out
Yeah.
a bipartisan purple ties. Look at that, coming together.